Hi, everyone. This is Zack. When Ian and I were recording this episode, we didn't think it would take as long to record our best and worst of the year that you may hear referenced in this episode. So we decided to make it its own episode, and it will be coming out very shortly after this episode releases. All right, so now that that's cleared up, let's get to this week's episode.
Welcome back to the Last Week This Week podcast. I'm Ian Scott.
I'm Zack Huber.
And this is the podcast where we're going to talk about some stuff in the last week and a bunch of news in the upcoming week. But yeah, we had a nice Christmas over the weekend. So how was yours, man?
Yeah, it was good. It was pretty non-traditional because I had to work my job other than this. Worked overnight. Most of my family is like first responder people.
Wow.
So
that's pretty normal for you.
Lately.
Right. I mean, you were also working on the podcast Christmas morning. I mean, that surprised the hell out of me.
I was working all night on the reels.
Yeah.
On our Instagram and our TikTok.
Yeah, Zach's in charge of all our social media stuff at the moment.
Yeah.
And doing a great job.
Yeah, check out our Instagram and TikTok at LastWeekThisWeekPod if you're interested.
Absolutely.
You got a cool gift that I just heard about.
Yeah, I'm very excited to put together a BD1 Lego set that I got. It's one of my favorite games of all time, Jedi Fallen Order. So very excited.
I really do want. I did see that, and I did want it. Like I do want that.
I mean, I saw it before it even came out, and I was going to pre-order it in August. But yeah, I'm very glad I have it now.
I was actually looking for you know how I got you that Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
There people make like BD1 like little like miniatures like to scale.
Right.
But they're like 3D printed and they're like can go up to like $150, $200.
Wow.
And that's not painted.
Yeah.
So I was like I was like, oh, Ryan or you would like that. And but anyways, yeah.
Yeah, well, now I don't have to paint it, and I get to have a good time putting it together.
Yeah, so, that's for sure.
But yeah, I think we wanted to start off with some news from this past week.
Yeah.
So my favorite property, probably of all time, is Avatar: The Last Airbender, and
I've been hearing about. Yeah, he really loves this. He's loved this since I've known him 10 plus years ago.
It's just a great time to watch, and we're getting a ton of new content from Avatar Studios that Nickelodeon and the two creators of Avatar formed, and we seem to be getting a new series that will be a sequel, technically like Korra was to Avatar. And I don't know how I feel about that, considering Legend of Korra did rub me the wrong way at points. I don't know how much you watched of that show.
I watched, I remember when it came out and I watched probably maybe half of that season.
Okay, so not even the full first season.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So I'm not really sure where that whole story ended up. And I know I was listening earlier today that partially why maybe that series wasn't as nice for the fans was because there was a lot of stuff with the network that was like having them to like make changes really quickly. And
well, I mean, I knew that from the beginning, they had only planned for the one season of Legend of Korra.
Oh,
and
wow.
So, yeah, I mean, they had planned for a whole, 3-season arc for Avatar: The Last Airbender from the start. And I think, that's where they went wrong, is that they had just some brand new story every season. And yeah, I mean, the second season just goes insanely high stakes with the story. It's a mess. I mean, I don't know if you care about spoilers for that show, but I will have to talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't think I really.
I won't say any season 1 spoilers because I still think watching Avatar: The Last Airbender and then going to watch this first season of Legend of Korra is a great epilogue for the show.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, this new series that they're talking about is going to focus on the Earth avatar after Korra. And that, I mean, the first thing that makes me think is like the time jump in Avatar or The Last Airbender to Legend of Korra was like fantasy world to like 1920s America.
Yeah, that was one of the things about Legend of Korra that was very it felt different. It felt very, very different than the original series. It had this like,
yeah,
I don't want to say steampunk, but there was like
there was elements of that, like with the mechs that they added.
It was so modern. There was so much modern things about it.
Even at the end of the first season, slight spoiler alert, they introduced planes. So it's like,
do they really?
Yeah,
there's planes.
There's planes.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, so season 2, basically,
what's the point of having a plane when? I mean, I guess there's only like one. Like Appa was the only was he the only of his kind?
Well, so there's the thing is that in between the two shows, there was like a lost herd that was found. So that herd is like now on the like the airbending island that Tenzin lives on with his family.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean they're not extinct, but yeah, I guess no one else is allowed to use them but the airbenders.
Oh, okay. All right. Now I understand the use for planes.
And
okay.
I guess, dragons went extinct super long time ago before that. So, but yeah, so with the time jump there, it makes me think that we're going to get a modern day Avatar. And that's a little scary. I'm not sure I want that.
Yeah.
I think.
Do you have like, you said this is focusing on an earth bending Avatar?
Right. Because, Aang was the air and Korra was the water one. So he would come from the Earth Nation, is what I'm saying, and his like main bending would be Earth bending.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't have particularly like as much knowledge about this as you do,
right?
But I mean, do you have any like theories or like thoughts about where it could go, or what the technological advances would look like, or
I don't really. I mean, like my thing was, like I was so disappointed by the end of season 2 and the start of season 3 that I just gave up on Legend of Korra. So I never finished the whole series.
Oh wow.
But like I do know that from the insane plot of season 2 that, and this is where the spoilers are going to come in. But basically the Avatar cycle is broken. So Korra doesn't have any connection to the past avatars. Mm-hmm. And so they can't talk to her and she can't talk to them. But it also means that she can't talk to the future avatar. So what I do know, like from what I've heard from the past or from the last 2 seasons of Legend of Korra, is that she was like leaving a journal for the next avatar, to like basically read her advice and what she had gone through and to learn from her in that way. Because, he can't or she can't reach out to Korra. That's pretty much all I have, like to go on at this point, because maybe like Bolin or Mako are gonna like be alive still. I don't know. I mean,
are those like her companions?
Yeah, those were the fire bending. Well, not fire. The pro bending guys.
Is Korra not alive anymore?
Well, for the next Avatar she
has to die.
Right. Yeah.
But it wasn't Aang around.
No.
For that was Aang's son.
That was Aang's son, Tenzin. Yeah.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he wasn't an Avatar.
Well, no. I mean, he's an airbender. So, because the cycle goes air, water, earth, fire, and
there's been fire avatars.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the firebenders weren't evil until after Avatar Roku died. Like Avatar Roku kept them in check for years, and then they conquered the world. And that's when they tried to kill baby Aang,
mm-hmm.
to just disrupt the cycle.
Interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, I think Avatar works best in a fantasy setting. I think they ran out of ideas pretty fast when they went to, 1920s Republic City era. you know, I hope there's more planning this time around for a whole arc over multiple seasons.
You would think that there would be, considering like this is partnered up. Is this like, this isn't with Netflix, is it? Or
No, this is straight from Nickelodeon, where they first were. And yeah, I think that maybe
you would hope that they would learn from their mistakes.
Right. I think maybe some people's complaint is that, like the show wasn't as mature as it could have been. But I don't think it needs to be, like I think there were still plenty of mature themes and mature arcs that the characters went through. And at the end of the day, these characters are like borderline teenagers, I think having a lighthearted story works.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all I have to say really about this new show. I hope it turns out well, and hopefully this modern era is going to be a good, I guess, shtick for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, on that note of things that we hope turn out to be good and not severely disappointing like they usually are.
Yeah.
There's the Sonyverse, which we have a little bit of news about. Firstly,
this
there's
was a couple weeks ago,
but still something that I think we both wanted to talk about, which is Donald Glover, Childish Gambino, has shown interest that he wants to be a Spider-Man C-list villain called the Hypno Hustler, which he's this like groovy villain that like hypnotizes people with his music, and he's got a band. And
now I think that's because Donald Glover's attached. I think that's like the aspects of that are going to change. Like, yeah, I don't think it's going to be your normal like band that they had, like basically this character was created in the 70s. And
yeah,
so it's not going to be, I don't think he's going to have a guitar. I do think like he could be rapping in it. Like, I think that's very possible.
But I don't think that like having a band is like less relevant. Like, because here's my thinking about it. Mm-hmm. He wants to do it. Maybe he's got a great idea. Maybe somebody has a great idea with him.
Right.
I have ideas about how it could, what the vibe could be. But like the way that I would think about it is his album Awaken My Love, or whatever that one was that had Redbone on it. Mm-hmm.
Okay, he was singing quite a lot in that.
But there was like, it was very funk and psych rock, and it was really awesome.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Alluding to my song choices later, there is a song that would fit it perfectly, in my opinion.
Okay.
So I think he could still pull off like this rad funk, like new, like a neo funk, like sort of like vibe that could be really cool. My thing is, if this is tied to the Sonyverse,
which it definitely is,
I would prefer for some reason that it's not in there. Okay. Like it's like a one-off.
Interesting.
Sort of, because it could. The thing is, first of all, he's called, I mean, I guess you could do rap if he's called the Hypno Hustler.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, I don't know if he's gonna go by that. Some headlines, some news. That's
how it always is, isn't it? Like,
but,
he gets named by some cheesy.
But who's gonna call
reporter.
him the Hypno? I don't know. Yeah. Maybe, but that's such a weird idea that, like, even though like you have like Venom and Morbius, that this idea is so left field that I feel like it would do better as like its own self-contained, like, and make it
like if it wasn't tied to Sony at all, and Donald Glover just got to put out his own superhero-esque movie.
Yeah, like some sort of just like wild, like like Edgar Wright style, like kind of crazy action, but it's like absurd.
Right.
But but like it would be, I would almost prefer it be like an R rated thing. I don't know if they'll go that way, but maybe he's got like an adaptation that's like you're talking about where it's more rap or something. But I feel like Donald Glover's like moved more into a
post rap era.
Yeah, like I think he like sings more. I think he like is more interested in it from his last couple albums. Like I feel like he's gone more that way.
I haven't been much of a listener as much as you are. But I think it is interesting going with these, like you said, C-list characters. Well, go on.
He's the Hypno Hustler's C-list. I wouldn't say that.
There's another one. I don't know if you remember El Muerto.
Oh,
I mean, that's like D-list. I mean, that is like that character has been in like 2 or 3 comics ever, and
it's very interesting,
right? And so that, like, those 2 castings and those 2 characters make me believe that Sony's more interested in the actors behind them than they want those bright spots to lead their villain universe or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I think this has been something that I've noticed with movie studios and their trailers, especially lately. Like if you look at Babylon, it's like, what is this trailer about?
Yeah.
Nobody knows, but it's like
I had to fully look it up to figure out what it was about.
I still want to see it, but
so do I.
But like it's like Brad Pitt's in it. Okay, cool. But like what is it about?
Right.
Margot Robbie's in it. Cool. But like, and then the same thing with like Black Adam that we were talking about last week. Like Dwayne's in it. And you're like, cool.
Pierce
He's
Brosnan
a superhero.
and Henry Cavill.
But you got to let us know what it's about. And like my concern is that what you're saying is like, we have Bad Bunny as El Muerto, and that's cool. But, and I hope he'd like,
I hope he's a good actor.
I hope he kills it. I know he was in Bullet Train that I'm still wanting to see. Spoiler alert, I guess it's not on my list.
Yeah, same.
Which maybe it would be if I saw it.
Right.
I did want to see it, but it's just, I hope that they have good stories.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to mean shit.
Well, they haven't had good stories yet. So that's a really worrying thing. They've had 3 straight movies of bad stories, to me at least.
I did not love Venom or Venom and Let There Be Carnage.
Right.
But I will say that they're the most enjoyable, and I did have fun at times.
Most enjoyable of what?
The Sony movies, Sonyverse movies.
There's been 3.
Right.
So that's not much competition.
They're not, but like at least like Morbius was atrocious.
Yeah, it was atrocious, but I don't think Venom and Venom Let There Be Carnage are like that much higher. Like to me, like at least the second one's pretty bad, and somehow it's a little better than the first one.
Yeah, I would say so.
So yeah,
I didn't really love how they did Carnage. I was really disappointed.
Yeah. I mean, that whole movie, I thought was going to be better than it was.
But do you have like any speculation about like how this would fit in to the Sonyverse, or To me, like it did feel at one point that they were, and I still think they're going to do this. That they're going to go with the Sinister Six. That's what Sony has always wanted to go to, and especially with the Morbius end credit scene. With random ass Vulture coming out of nowhere and saying, "Hey, let's start something here." That's the worst post-credit scene
ever.
Ever.
Yeah,
because it breaks all logic. And it's
not like the spell even worked that way. Like, why would it pull him? There's no reason.
Yeah, and I'm really concerned that they're just diving straight into like. I get that they want to do it, that's their, but it's like it's already like we've talked about like DC being a mess. You're leading a Spider-Verse
without a Spider-Man,
that we know of,
yeah.
But you're trying to do these like anti-hero stories. That are all Spider-Man villains, yet there's no Spider-Man. And the last time they tried to do Sinister Six, you got Amazing Spider-Man 2, and that was not good.
Yeah, I forgot that end credit scene kind of teased the Sinister Six too.
Just even like, I think it was just even in the lab.
True. Yeah, they were walking through a bunch of costumes.
He was like the Doc Ock arm, and I was like, the Doc Ock arms.
Yeah, like why
he invented those? It's like
yeah. But yeah, I mean, so
you think Hypno Hustler would be a part of the Sinister Six, though?
I mean, I do.
I think a lot of Spider-Man fans would be, me being one of them, would be very upset if they tried to make him part of the Sinister, unless he was like really dope.
Right. I mean,
but
like that's the thing, is that this potential Sinister Six is looking like Venom, Morbius, Vulture, Hypno Hustler, El Muerto, and Craven, yeah.
But that, I think you named more than
that's six. No, that's six.
That's six?
Yeah.
El Muerto, Vulture, Venom, Craven,
Hypno Hustler,
and Morbius. Did I say Vulture?
Yeah, you already said Vulture.
That's a weird lineup.
There's also a Madam Web movie coming out.
Right.
So I don't know if she's a good guy or a bad guy. I don't know anything about that character.
That movie, at first I was like, this is dumb.
Yeah.
Why? But the more that like I've been seeing like behind the set photos, and it seems like there is like a plot to like save Ben, not Ben.
Oh yeah, I heard that like
Richard and like Peter's mom and dad.
Yeah, I heard they were going to be young variations in that movie.
Yeah, they're like medics.
Oh, nice.
I think.
Okay.
Played by one of the guys from Community. Parks and Rec.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. Anyways, but that one's actually is beginning to look a bit more interesting.
Yeah.
And I hope it's really good.
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned, like there's not a Spider-Man in this universe
yet.
And I do think what will happen eventually is, and I don't know if this is the smart move, but I think there will be a Spider-Man that appears in all of these movies at some point, and he won't have his own solo movie because it wouldn't work with, if you're going to do a 4, 5, and 6 with Tom Holland. But I think if you have just, an actor that's recognizable throughout your Sony Spider-Verse, it could work.
The thing is, like, what you think? Do you think it's going to be a different person than Tom Holland?
Yes.
Okay. My thing is, you see Venom at the end of Venom, Let There Be Carnage, go into the MCU.
Yeah.
And then at the end of Spider-Man No Way Home, leave the MCU, and there's that piece of the symbiote that's there.
Right.
And Venom, Tom Hardy's Venom, sees Tom Holland on the TV.
Yeah, and is like, I want to eat that guy.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know that it'd be very convoluted, and I wouldn't put it past Sony to like just be like that, like, oh, we're just gonna retcon that, like it's a different Peter Parker. Then like we insert our own, and it's just there's a little too much like. I feel like if they're gonna do it, they're either like they're in a spot right now where they could use Tom Holland because nobody knows who he is, according to Spider-Man No Way Home. I like the idea better of like continuing a story of like, because of like Andrew Garfield, but like just weird stuff like that, the murderer on the Morbius trailer.
I mean, that was obviously to get people in the theater.
But that wasn't even in the movie.
It wasn't. It's completely false advertising.
Which is we do have a topic about that later on. But I think it would be too much. I feel like if they're gonna go with a Spider-Man, it's either gonna be like an Andrew Garfield or Tom Holland. I don't see them making their own.
Interesting. I mean, that is fair. Like, I think what the MCU is somewhat setting up, even though it's contradictory in No Way Home, that his variants look different, but most of the time MCU variants look exactly the same. And
well,
I mean, so far it like those two have been the only ones that have been like, oh, you're different than I look. But
I would argue like you look at the different Lokis.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. I keep forgetting about that.
There's, just because we saw John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic does not mean and I'm pretty sure he's not
coming back. Yeah,
and like there was not Letitia Wright. There was it wasn't Brie Larson that played Captain Marvel in Doctor Strange, and
yeah, but that was supposed to be like her friend Monica Rambeau.
Right, but I'm saying it's not.
Sure. I mean, I guess the thing is that it can be a variant like that looks different, but it can also be the exact same looking person. So they could use Tom Holland.
They could.
I don't know if I like the idea of it being Andrew Garfield, since it would I believe it would add to that universe he had already been in. Like it would go, I think, like Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2, and then Venom 1 and 2, and then Morbius. Like I think that would be the continuity.
Yeah.
If that was the case, and I don't really know if I want all those movies in that Andrew Garfield universe, even though that second one wasn't good.
Most likely what you could probably just end up doing is whatever movie where he ends up showing up in is like because like, do you really need to watch, depending on if they do that, would you really need to watch Venom 1 and 2? Like what actually happens in Venom and 1 and 2 that like needs any background,
Basically, yeah, they just,
because it's not like
all you need to know
happens.
is that Venom by the end of the second one finally is like, hey, we should go fight crime. Like we should, and then Eddie Brock is like, yeah, I agree, man. We should do this.
Yeah. Yeah, that beach scene just at the, I mean, I did enjoy it. It was like lethal protectors.
Is this what we want from the Venom character? Like,
I mean, there is precedent in the comics that they are the lethal protectors. I mean, it's because he does eventually go on a path of like helping, like of being an anti-hero. Like that is something like Agent Venom, for example. Like there is precedent.
And I do like some variations of that character, but I don't know. It feels like we never got like full on Venom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is unfortunate.
Just wants to like eat people.
That's it.
And hates Spider-Man.
Because
he like fucked up his
I mean, I do have a theory about that where
what?
I believe that like he has a built-in hate because he's experienced all the memories of like every other Venom symbiote. So I believe he's also experienced what happened at the end of Spider-Man 3.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Yeah. That was a weird thing about the post-credit scene. Because it was like, because he was like, do you want to experience, all the other symbiotes that have ever existed throughout the multiverse or whatever?
Right.
But then at the same time, it was the Doctor Strange spell. So what was Eddie actually experiencing?
Yeah.
So, or did he ever feel the experience at all? So that was very open-ended sort of thing. It
really was. Yeah. I mean, they clearly don't know exactly what they want to do yet.
Clearly. From Morbius.
But, yeah, I mean, that's about all I have on Spider Sonyverse.
Okay. Well, then I guess we can move on to another topic that we actually talk about Star Wars today, so and I didn't bring my Grogu in, but
oh yeah,
it's okay. I was running late. Ahsoka, the character created by Dave Filoni from the Clone Wars. Initially, one of the most disliked characters in she was very annoying, and now she's become like a favorite. And I would say that the Rosario Dawson iteration that we get in Mandalorian season 2 has really like made a lot of people who were not fans like somebody like have made them interested in this new Ahsoka series that's coming up. Which
Yeah, I mean, I've heard of people on the other end who don't love the design that was put out by like the live action Disney Plus.
I thought it was really good.
I thought it was too. But I think those are diehard Clone Wars and Rebels fans, and they want to see like Cad Bane look exactly like he did, and I think there's a lot of nitpicking there. But I do know
that's such an like character design thing. I mean, I get it. Like you look at the fucking head Inquisitor or whatever.
He was the worst so far.
That was like there was already precedent in Revenge of the Sith to have a character of that race look a certain way, and then he's been a mess, especially. And then you look at like Jedi Survivor, and you're like, is that
from what we know is that it's not him. That's a new character.
Okay,
yeah, which I'm glad about because that would piss me off.
I don't know,
because that takes place the same year as Obi-Wan. So if that was the same character, I'd be like, what is going on?
A lot could happen in the same year. It's not like Obi-Wan was over the course of like what, like
but like a character looks completely different by the end of the year. You're like not even like structurally face wise.
He got stabbed in the gut. He's like recovering. He's like I'm
don't
depressed.
even talk to me about this.
He gains weight. We'll probably talk about that later. Anyways, so Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who I first knew about as Ramona Flowers from Scott Pilgrim.
Oh yeah. To me, she was from Sky High first, but that's fair.
Wait,
she was the villain in Sky High.
The villain? She was the villain?
Wasn't she?
She's not the girl that turns into a guinea pig, or was that?
No, that's not her.
She was the villain?
She was the villain. Yeah.
What was
she was like she was the love interest that like tricks him into believing that like she's a normal teen, but she's like she had that like baby like pacifier thing that like turns people back, and she was turned back.
That was her?
That was her. Yeah.
Really?
I think so. I mean, if I'm wrong, I'm very sorry, but I can look it up if you want to give me a second.
Whoa. Yeah, you can look it up. Well, anyways, so while Ian's looking that up, she's been cast apparently as Hera Syndulla, which if you're not familiar with that name, she is a rebel pilot that we get introduced to in Rebels. Admittedly, I've only watched up to halfway through season 2, but I think from what I know from Mary Elizabeth Winstead and her acting, she was really great in season 3 of Fargo, and I didn't love the Harley Quinn movie, but I thought she was pretty good in that.
I really liked her in that too. I mean, I like that movie, but that's where you and I differ, I think.
Yeah, but I think this is that her?
That's her, yeah.
She really doesn't look like
that
her
anymore. No, yeah, absolutely not.
Well, anyways, that's wild. But I think this is great casting. I'm very excited to see her in live action. She's a great character. This is basically just Rebels live action. Right. It would seem at this point. I'm sure, it'll probably be more of a minor. Mm-hmm. Maybe minor role,
but aren't they bringing back the character, the main character of Rebels, in live action? Okay,
and they're also bringing in Sabine, who is another. She's a Mandalorian from Rebels, which is a part of the main cast. Nice. I think this is great casting.
Yeah,
I think she's probably gonna kill it. I can't wait to see her as a Twi'lek.
Yeah, I mean, you know a lot more about Rebels than me. Because I haven't seen Rebels, but I've seen some of Clone Wars.
It's so much better than what I've seen from Clone Wars. And,
really?
And I haven't seen that much about Clone Wars. I know it gets more, a lot of people vouch for it later on in the later seasons, but Rebels, I know you have a problem with things that are a little bit more kiddie, and there are kiddish moments, but it really is
same with Clone Wars. It's very childlike in the beginning as well.
Yeah, but just like when we were talking about with Avatar, like they are lighthearted stories, but there's these moments of like, whoa, like some really like cool things and serious things happen. And especially as you go down the seasons, like go down the episodes, it does get more dramatic and I think it's actually a very well done show. I mean, it is animated. It is more geared towards like, but
yeah. I mean, funny enough, my big problem with it is the design of the lightsabers in it.
Which, yeah, I mean,
it's just
I like
they've looked how they've looked throughout most media, and they're just a little too skinny for me. But that's.
I just think if you watch it, you'll get over it.
That's fair.
The story writing is so good.
How many seasons are there? Like
4.
4? Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I mean, you just like really love the characters. Like it's like a family.
I mean, with Clone Wars, I'm very excited to see hopefully a live action Hayden Christensen finally interact with Ahsoka. Hopefully we get some flashback like live action scenes.
Yeah.
Which I think is going to be great. I think Hayden Christensen wants to do anything Star Wars at this point. So getting him back wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I know.
Well, I think he's in it, right?
Well, it's rumored. I don't know if he's been confirmed to be in it, but I know it's also been rumored that the actress who played Lena Valerian in House of the Dragon is gonna play like a younger version of Ahsoka. What was her name? I'll find it later. But I think that does point to the fact that we're gonna get flashback scenes, and I think it's very possible that Anakin's in them.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think there is Dave Filoni's in charge of the Ahsoka show, I think, right?
Yeah, I mean both him and Jon Favreau, I think.
Yeah, I think he's gonna give people what they want. So I
Even though Boba Fett was not good, I think there was I really loved all the Cad Bane stuff. Even though I didn't even really know the character that well, I just thought he was like the most badass person I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And if he can translate that to live action well, then I have no doubt that Dave Filoni's the man,
I think he's getting better with live action stuff. His first live action episode on The Mandalorian was like, okay.
Yeah.
And then his second one was like,
which one did he direct and write on the first one?
I believe it was the one where we all agree it was like a filler, which was the Tatooine episode.
Oh, that was maybe the worst one of that season. Yeah.
I think that was him.
Okay.
If I'm wrong, then
no,
but I think it was him. And then
the
one in season 2,
I don't have any problems really with season 2.
I can't remember, but I mean that all of season 2 was just great. So
all season 2 was great, and episodes 5 and 6 of Boba Fett was really great. So
well, it's just Mandalorian 2.5.
Absolutely, it is. I mean, it was great until they undid the ending of season 2, but that's just me.
Yep. Well, is that all? Is that all you?
Yeah.
You guys? Okay. Well, I think we can move on to the segment called Zack Was Right.
Yes, I had said last week, I don't think that DC Universe is going to keep putting out properties that won't tie into a larger universe, like the Batman. So I guess James Gunn had announced that he is definitely up to do Elseworld stories.
Well, he said there was a fan that asked on Twitter, "Are you open to producing any Elseworld DC projects that aren't set in the DCU?" And he said that is actively happening, which is a lot of there's a lot of speculation to talk about like what that exactly means. Like,
you're not wrong, that is actively happening.
It is actively happening with like Joker 2 and the Matt Reeves Batman series.
And from what we've heard is that that Green Lantern show is still in development. Like
Right.
I don't think that will tie into his universe.
Yeah, I mean, so we can get to the Green Lantern thing, but I take it as, though you could take it either way. You could just say like, oh, well, that stuff is happening.
Right.
Because he's getting pretty good at just not giving great, like he'll shut down things that are like not true.
Yeah. Fake.
But then he's also like not going to confirm anything, which is like a very almost Kevin Feige thing. But I think that they have plans. Like I really think that he's like has plans for other things. And I think it makes sense from a business perspective. I mean, it's hard to like say like to, like the most successful R-rated movie of all time, Joker, was not a part of the GCU, and now they have a sequel coming out that wasn't originally supposed to be made. And if that does well, I feel like that sets like, it's just like, okay, well this clearly is working. And I know you were saying like, oh, it's because it's not part of the DCU.
Yeah.
I don't think that's it. I think it just looks interesting. And then with Pattinson, I mean, it wasn't like $1 billion, but movies don't need to be $1 billion. Like,
no, I think it made 800, 900 million. So I mean, that's still amazing.
Like pop culturally, like amazing with everybody just being obsessed with like Something in the Way, and like all the emo-ness that came out of that. So I think it's actively happening means we're going to do more stories.
It's the one thing they know that is working at the moment. So I'll give you that. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if like the more popular Elseworld stories that I know of, I'm not sure how translatable they are, like to the screen.
Like what do you have that you were
I really like the concept of Kingdom Come.
Right.
Where, the old, heroes that we all know have started to retire, and a new age of like anti-heroes has risen up. And then that, from the conflict there's a civil war. I think that's a lot of heroes to get. I don't know if it really pays off except for one movie,
I think if I had to guess, they're more likely to, because there was that James Gunn picture that he tweeted of like a painting or a thing from Kingdom Come. I think most likely like maybe that's what they're building to eventually in the main universe.
That could be possible, like because it's not like it's a crazy idea that couldn't be done like Civil War was in the MCU.
Right. It's just there's so many characters.
A lot. Yeah.
Which like, if you wanted to just be, quick with like casting and not have to worry about repercussions, then the Elseworlds way would the one-off would go. But which, that's a great story. Like it's like with today, like you have like all the older ideals are like going away, and then there's like this rise of like what you were saying, anti-heroes. It's like like you could relate that in a lot of ways of different great things in culture that are maybe like coming up, and then they clash. And
you could even make it like a 90s set piece if you wanted to, where because like that's where this idea really came from, is there were so many anti-heroes popping up in the 90s that this was kind of like a statement to that,
Right. I mean, and there's so many anti-heroes right now in comic book movies that definitely, I think, is something. I think regardless, that is coming in some form or fashion.
I'm down for it. Yeah.
Do you have any other Elseworlds stories that you were thinking?
Two of them are Batman. So
what are those?
There's Gotham by Gaslight, which is, I think, a pretty cool one.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think actually I just got the person I'm seeing got me I think the Gotham by, I don't know if it was Gaslight, but it was something of that realm. Like she got me like the first issue,
like a Victorian era Batman.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I just got that yesterday, and I'm like very excited to read it.
That would be very neat to see because at this point we've had samurai Batman, so like why not show us the Victorian era and have him fight Jack the Ripper? That's cool. I'm down for it.
And Jack the Ripper would probably be Joker, right?
You think they would go that basic with it? I'd be down for a whole new, just kind of like, serial killer if that's the case.
Yeah, maybe for sure.
The other one,
I think they're gonna. Me personally, I think they're gonna lean away
from Batman. Yeah, I agree.
There's too much Batman.
The other one, that is Batman that I like is, it's I think Batman 1, the Joker, and that one basically follows like Batman's descendant, and he I guess starts a cult and self-proclaims himself as a god, and he goes by the Bruce.
The
Bruce. Yeah. So that's a really crazy one that I don't think maybe a movie would be made out of it, but maybe like a mini series.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is also a possibility for whatever this means.
Sure. Yeah.
I think it would be cool if they followed some comic stuff. Some of them are so abstract, like the Gotham by Gaslight one, that like it's cool.
Yeah.
But I don't know if like and the another one that I was thinking about that would be cool, that would be a comic, would be Superman Red Sun.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Which would be really cool. But
it has already been animated.
Right. You would have to like, I would wonder how you would like do it. Like you'd have to have a Superman movie already, and
and would that actor, like want to do that kind of movie?
Play that role,
right?
And it's also like, because we're in our bubble of like, well, this connects to this thing, and like other people are just like, they're like, oh, is Superman? Why is Superman
evil?
Russian?
Right.
So there's a lot of questions on how you would do that. I think it would be a cool story, but I think the one thing that would be Batman related that they could do, that I think everybody wants, is Batman Beyond.
Yeah, everybody does want Batman Beyond.
And this would be the perfect time to do it.
And we were about to get it, weren't we? Like was that the Michael Keaton one that was going to happen? Or
I think it was.
It was the rumor. That was like,
but then
he was going to be.
He like, it wasn't.
Well, yeah, I think they scrapped it.
Yeah. But it was coming, and it's kind of a bummer. Like, if there was a Batman to be the older Batman,
that's him.
You would want Michael Keaton.
Absolutely.
It would be fulfilling on so many levels.
Yeah.
So I think that this would be a good way to get to that story, is do an Elseworld story.
Yeah, I mean, because that would be like 30 years down the line in DC. Like
if
in
not
this DC,
more.
right? Yeah, I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Besides that, I'm sure there's other Elseworld stories that they could do that I'm not as familiar with.
The only other one that I like wrote down was it's not Flashpoint Paradox, but it's just called Flashpoint, and it's not like a crazy story, but basically Barry Allen takes the bullet for JFK. So
that's
I don't know.
Incredible.
Yeah, I don't know where that story would go, or like if he would be kind of like experimented on at that point, since maybe superheroes weren't a huge like known thing in the 60s.
Oh,
but I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I definitely feel like it would be cool. Like, I think they're gonna be like more like, take our characters and do something cool that we've not seen before, like with Joker,
right?
Like more character studies, or like, you don't have to like take away necessarily like the comic book superhero, super powered nature of people, but like, it's gonna be like in an interesting story of some kind.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think that's what they'll probably do. But
yeah, I mean, but I could also see them fully going animated with these, like.
Right. And like, I think Batman Beyond as an animated, like when you look at Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse,
yeah,
would be not a bad idea.
Not bad
you
at
know?
all. Yeah.
So I think that would be really cool. And I don't know if that's all you have to say.
I mean, I don't have any more on Elseworlds, but I mean, like, I do have a lot more in DC Universe.
Yeah, I was gonna say like with tying into the DCU, there was James Gunn is now saying that he's working with Jim Lee.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah, to get the comics to
kind of tie in with the movie universe.
Right.
Obviously not the entire DC Comics universe, but there are going to be some that have comics that spawn from the movies, basically.
Is that like what they were saying?
That's kind of what I'm hearing. Yeah.
Okay.
And if that's the case, that's very cool. Like Star Wars has been doing that for quite a few years now, where they have canon comics. Like Black Chrysanthemum was introduced in the Book of Boba Fett, and he was a comic character.
Yeah.
So yeah, it really does seem to be like that's the thing is it was reported that like Star Wars could be the model for James Gunn here, and it does seem that is coming to fruition with comics and TV and animated stuff all coinciding.
Yeah. What do you think that looks like? The intersection of like the movies and the comics, like, because my question is like, to me it would feel like the movie happens, the TV show, whatever, and then the comic is like would serve as like prologues, epilogues.
Yeah, that's the thing is that they would have to be that because you couldn't like count on the mass audience going to buy a comic. Like you can't be like, I have to put in crucial information in this comic because some people are just not going to read it.
I think if done correctly, though, this is like a really genius idea of like how to boost their sales.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Because comics have been going down for years.
Yeah. And this is like a great way to be like, oh, if I want to know more about like this movie that I like, this is a way to learn. And
right. And they did it with actually Flash, the Flash movie. They have a precursor comic that's come out for it. So yeah, I don't know if it's good.
And like Paul Dano's
the Riddler comic.
Yeah. So I think that's what it probably looks more like, but it would be cool if there's like little mini
universe or what?
Like if they actually have like stories of that particular iteration of that character, like doing a story.
Yeah, like in between movies or something.
Right.
Yeah, that would be cool. I'd like that a lot. But
so the only thing that I have about like that I think about with the like regards to that is, what if there's a story down the line where somebody's like, I have this great idea for like this character from like the Green, like let's say they do a Green Arrow movie and they're like, I have this idea from the Rogues Gallery, but they've already done a comic where he's faced off against, like, if they did that, like, would they change the character design? Would they have to stick with it?
I think they could easily change character designs, but I definitely think they couldn't write it to like they're just meeting again, like for the first time. Like they have to have some of that continuity spew over.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting, like, how they're going to approach this. I think it's like a really exciting time to be a DC fan, and I think it's really sad that there's so much divisiveness because like I've been a DC fan more so than like Marvel, like most of my life.
I would say the same.
I would say that the MCU made me more of a Marvel fan.
Yeah.
But it's just sad to see like how DC's been. But this is,
Zachary Levi had that Instagram Live, where he's, pleading with fans to like take a chill pill, pretty much. Like things are gonna be okay. Like you got to trust in these guys who know what they're doing. Like there doesn't need to be so much divisiveness. Yeah, we're losing great castings, but we're building a greater universe than what was before. Yeah, I don't know if you have been like looking at what James Gunn has been liking from fans.
You were telling me about this.
But you mentioned Green Arrow, and that was one of the first tweets I saw. Someone said, "I was wondering if a Green Arrow flick is on the table of possibilities because that would be very snazzy." And
snazzy.
Yeah, he liked that tweet. So sounds like we're getting Green Arrow. He also liked the caption over Nightwing and Red Hood. Someone said, "I hope these two are in your plans." He liked that tweet. That's something like I'm super excited about because to me it means we're getting Jason Todd and Dick Grayson Robins, which we haven't really had ever in the live action universe. I mean, yeah, we had Robin in the late 90s, but that was terrible. So
my thing is, I think it's really interesting that he's liking them.
Yeah, I mean, they're so like obvious, like, whoa, this is your indicator here.
But like, I would definitely say, let's not jump to we're getting Jason Todd.
Right, like,
we're getting Green Arrow. Like, I don't like, I just don't want anybody to like get like super set on the fact that like maybe it's a like from Twitter. It's cool, but if now like just to like speculate, if we got Jason Todd and Dick Grayson, I'd really want to know what the tone of the universe is going to be, because I don't know how you get it's so ridiculous. It works in the comics, but even then it's ridiculous to have a 35-year-old man get like a teenager, a child, to like fight crime with him on the streets.
Okay,
so like,
you're saying
what
just the concept is
what does
rough.
that look like? Does Robin, or do you just skip the Robin iteration?
I think you could start at Robin being like 16. I think that,
but that's such an absurd thing. You would have to make Batman like certifiably like. You would have to show that he has some fucking issues. Well, that he's like, I'm bringing a child to like, and have guns pointed at him. I mean, I think the thing about Titans, which is interesting, is like
they do go there.
They're like, he used me. He like pointed my rage that I was angry about and he made me a weapon.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you do that, it could be cool. But I don't know. It's just, I don't know how you do it without
maybe they just age them up. Like he raises them, and then once they're like young adults, maybe like that's when Barbara Gordon and Dick Grayson and Jason Todd are all fighting. Hopefully,
right?
Yeah, maybe they write it well in that sense. But that is interesting for the tone of the universe. Yeah,
I definitely think that they have plans for Green Arrow. Though,
yeah, he's a super popular character.
Yeah,
I don't know how they didn't use him at all in this past universe. But yeah, I'm excited to see a new iteration. Yeah. From because I watched a little of Arrow when it came out.
I love that first season.
Yeah, I heard it went downhill after a few seasons, but that's CW for you, right?
Yeah.
The last tweet he liked was, I really, really hope James Gunn or Matt Reeves cast Dave Bautista as Bane, which that's a really exciting one. Obviously, James Gunn carries over actors from project to project, and I don't doubt that Dave Bautista will be in this universe.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Those two are really close.
Yeah,
and Dave Bautista as Bane in a Batman movie, I fuck with it.
Yeah, I super fuck with it. That would be incredible. And I actually saw it today that Ryan Johnson said that Dave Bautista is the best wrestler turned actor, and I was like, you know what? That's probably true.
I would say John Cena probably gives him a run for his money, but I still think,
are you only saying that because of Peacemaker?
Peacemaker impressed the hell out of me with his acting. I'll say that.
But I think Dave Bautista is still like has more up on.
Yes, he has a more
Blade Runner 2049, small role, but still like
still
completely
really good.
great performance.
Yeah.
Drax.
Yeah, I mean, he was in Spectre, but I didn't like love his performance there.
He was
though.
really good in Knives Out.
He was, yeah. Well, in A Glass Onion, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry. I was like thinking about like there's
Knives
that
Out
thing
mystery,
that like Ryan Johnson was like, I wish I could take the Knives Out of Glass Onion. I was like, fair
And I
enough.
agree,
But whenever I say like Glass Onion, people go, what is that? I'm like, it's a Knives Out movie. And like, oh, what's Knives Out? I'm like, oh, so I was like, maybe the studio was a little right about that one, but
yeah. Dave Bautista's great.
Yeah, and one last thing about DC. So rumored Flash trailer at the Super Bowl.
Right.
This movie is supposedly amazing, but
I don't know how.
I think Andy Muschietti did a great job with both the It movies. And I'm not doubting him. I'm just saying there has been so much studio interference, like an insane amount, I think. I don't know about studio interference. I mean, think about that. Like once Discovery bought Warner Brothers, I heard there was rewrites and reshoots at that point. And now with, James Gunn and Peter Safran announcing like Henry Cavill's gone, it sounds like they're also cutting out scenes from that movie again, like with their cameos. And so like, and at one point, when Discovery had bought them, they fully switched out like the ending where it was going to set up like Supergirl as the new Superman. And, so like there's just been a lot of like random moves, I think. Sure. I think at the core, though, there's probably a good story. And these are all things that hopefully it doesn't affect it in any way that's like detracting. But I get what you're saying. But if there is a trailer coming out, which apparently is the first time that Warner Brothers has been placing a Super Bowl ad
in 15 years.
Yeah. Which out of all the movies that they're doing this for, I think it definitely shows that they're worried, I think, about this movie performing badly in theaters, with all the bad press it's gotten. I think they want people's eyes on it, and there's a lot of eyes in Super Bowl. So yeah, you could take it that way, or you could take it as they have an immense amount of like confidence in the movie. Sure, there's that. I was going to ask you what you think we might see, because from what I've heard about people who went to CinemaCon, there was way more Michael Keaton than Ezra Miller shown. And that makes sense. Yeah, for now, yeah. In the marketing, yeah. I don't know how they're gonna market this movie. They're gonna showcase a lot of the side characters. So I think we're gonna see more of Sasha Calle's Supergirl. I think we're gonna see probably more Ben Affleck's Batman, because I know he's in it. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of elements from like the Flashpoint Paradox movie that I don't think are gonna be in it. So I don't know if we see most of the Justice League in this movie. Maybe it's more self-contained than obviously it has to be more self-contained than Flashpoint Paradox. But maybe we see that scene at the beginning where it's rumored that like the entire Justice League like tries to stop Barry from going back in time. I don't know. Maybe yeah. But I don't think we're gonna see a lot of Ezra Miller in this trailer. Yeah, and for anybody who maybe is listening that doesn't know exactly what we're talking about, you can look it up. There's just been a lot of incidents with this man. Yeah, with them. Yeah, they just have been very problematic. Possibly grooming a underage person, and some theft, some violence. Yeah. So it's just and they are because I think of Barry Allen. Sure, same. So but they are the main, actor in the lead actor in this movie who is playing two roles.
Two roles. Yeah. The Flash that is taking up the Batman spray painted suit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to see this trailer. I don't know what to expect. I don't even know if this is going to happen.
Mm-hmm. But that is the rumor.
Yeah. I know it's coming out in June, which, I think the Super Bowl is in February. Like, that's June, that's
4 months, about
4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it makes sense to drop a trailer around there.
Agreed. Yeah.
I think Warner Brothers really wants this movie to just come out and they
for
don't
them to
have
be done with it. Yeah.
They just have to be done with it. It's just going to be interesting to see. Hopefully we'll be able to talk about it more like if it comes out.
Yeah. Agreed.
Definitely have a lot of thoughts about that movie, but
yeah, because I am a big Flash fan. I've read Flash comics for years, and I wanted his first solo movie to be a Flash movie. Take the Rogues Gallery and do something cool with him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a bummer. It's definitely not, I think, but at the same time, it seems like it's a great movie. So I
hope it is.
Yeah.
Because I do like Ezra Miller's performance. Like, I think he's a very different Barry Allen, but I like that version of Barry Allen.
Right.
So yeah, we'll see.
All right. So we had mentioned earlier about the Morbius trailer. There was a spray painted murderer over top of a Spider-Man. There's a lot of Spider-Man in one of the Morbius trailers that dropped, getting very close to the movie coming out.
Yep. Where
I think a lot of people were like, "Oh, is Spider-Man? Which Spider-Man is it? Is it Andrew Garfield?" It would make sense that it's Andrew Garfield because it said murderer, and he said, "I stopped pulling my punches as much." But
like that, for me, seeing Morbius, I was half excited to see it just to know what universe we were in.
Exactly.
Like that was like, oh, this is going to answer that, and then it didn't.
Yeah. And so with that, there was recently a court ruling that basically the movie Yesterday that came out maybe 2 years ago or something.
Oh, was that the Beatles one?
Yeah, it was about if the Beatles never existed.
Yeah.
So,
I heard it was bad, really bad. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I some people said it was good.
Really?
I don't know. But
mixed opinions.
But there was a trailer that came out way back before the movie came out, and it had Ana de Armas in the trailer. And then eventually
she was cut out
of the movie, but they've kept this trailer up, and these two Ana de Armas fans wanted to see the movie because of her.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they found out she wasn't in it, they sued the studio, and now they went to court, and now the courts ruled that misleading trailers, if you mislead in your trailer, it's you can be sued. And basically it was that creativity in a trailer, like the studio was saying that like it's a creative choice to take out things or mislead or whatever.
Yeah.
That like, but it's not the court was saying that it's not enough to outweigh the fact that a trailer is an advertisement to preview a product, which is what it is. So something I just wanted to like bring up because I thought it was interesting is like how that might affect trailers going forward. Personally, I think
it might be for the best. But like the biggest instance I can think of in like this false advertising kind of sense, and I think it was used really well for this. Infinity War. Do you remember that trailer where?
Yes, I know what you're talking about, but I have thoughts about that.
Right. Well, they showed the Hulk in that trailer.
Exactly.
And he wasn't in that movie. Like, Mark Ruffalo's Bruce Banner was, and he was in the Hulkbuster, but he never appeared as the Hulk in that movie except the beginning.
Right.
Now, I think that's a perfect use for it. And I think it was perfect to throw the audiences off of their expectations. But I guess there's, the other precedents there that, there was Spider-Man in the Morbius trailer and we didn't see any of that.
So yeah, that would be a very interesting. So I don't know how that that might be something
Yeah.
that maybe the studio could be sued about. The thing about the Infinity War trailer, Hulk is in that movie.
Right.
He might
is.
not be in that scene.
He's not in that scene. Yeah.
as the Hulk.
Right.
But
right.
the character of Bruce Banner is in that movie, and Hulk is in fact the Hulk in that movie. Whereas Ana de Armas
isn't in it at all.
Is not in the movie at all.
Okay.
So my thing would be like,
okay, so they could still do those practices that kind of throw us off of what to expect, which I like, to be honest.
Right. So I don't know if it's going to change things that much,
right.
but there might be like a disclaimer in front of trailers that says like,
some scenes have been edited for audiences or
right. So something maybe to that effect. The other thing that's like kind of tricky about how studios might handle this is most of the time trailers come out and trailers are being made like maybe 6 months in advance of when the movie is actually being out, and editing decisions and creative decisions are still being made while the trailer's been put out. And that's exactly what happened with the Ana de Armas situation. So I don't know how they're going to,
I think, if the studio had simply taken it down, I think the lawsuit could have been avoided. Like they kept it up and probably promoted that trailer just as much as their others, and that was the problem. Like I think like the studio could argue, hey, we at one point had her in this movie when we put up that first trailer, and then we cut it, and she wasn't in it.
Yeah, I mean, from what I understand, they were like arguing like instead of like arguing something about like like this is just a creative thing that happened that like like they were arguing like semantic. They were arguing like this is a creative decision, where they should have been arguing like anything else, right? Because like they're not like acknowledging the fact that like as much as a trailer is a art form in a sense, like it is just advertisement.
Yeah, it really is. I mean,
and like so you
got to protect the consumers.
Yeah. So I just think it's interesting. I thought it was an interesting thing to talk about because I think it's going to change some things.
Yeah, maybe not drastically like I was maybe thinking, but
at first I was like, oh, this is going to be
this
like
is huge.
We're not going to get like, Thanos without the Infinity Stones on his gauntlet. Cause like somebody would be like, I was expecting that scene.
Right.
Which I think would be hard to argue in a court of law.
I agree.
So that's why I don't think that's going to change as much.
Yeah. For sure. I mean, they have corporate lawyers that can argue that for them. So
yeah. So, okay. So for our upcoming best and worst list, you may be thinking to yourself, why, oh, why are these movies so bad or so good? Just like the first song of my song recommendation list, which is Why Oh Why. It's literally the letters by Born at Midnight,
Killer
which is
transition.
like
I like
yes,
that.
Yes, thank you. It's like an indie like what did I write down? Indie groovy. It's almost like Siri accompanied at times.
Okay.
Like there's a robot woman voice that goes with it.
Interesting.
It's very good. The next song is Wintering by the 1975, which is, my favorite band.
Yeah, that's a great song. One of my favorites off that album. So
yeah, I was really surprised that you liked that one.
It just, I mean, I'm a big Christmas guy. So
yeah, I was gonna say Christmas just came about, and I mean, it also talks about fat ass. So what more do you need? Yeah. The next song is Rasputin by Boney M.
I don't know that one.
Okay. Yeah, it's I just kind of got into them a lot this month, and this song is like very Russian, which is maybe not the most.
It's Rasputin, right? I mean,
but Russia's not great. It's not a great topic right now. But but I was thinking about Red Sun. It'd be cool if you had that. I just really, after hearing this song, I really need to. I don't know if they've done it in some other. They must have done it. Maybe they did it in the King's Man when Rasputin was in that movie. I forget if they did a.
He was in that movie?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I forget. I've watched it. I can't remember if they did like a scene with him, but I really want like maybe even like a Red Guardian in Thunderbolts. Like we catch up with him and this song's
he's just playing that. Yeah.
He's like just beating the shit out of people with this song playing. I just need a Russian
superhero to be playing to that music.
Something. It doesn't even need to be superhero. I just need something. The next song after that is by this artist named Q, which is very new. I don't know if they're like a Star Trek Next Generation fan. You won't get it. There's a character named Q in it. But this song reminds me of like something that Donald Glover could do for his Hypno Hustler.
Interesting.
It starts off very smooth, very like, dramatic, but then it like fucks, like
it fucks.
It really gets down.
Yeah.
I promise. It's like groovy, like electro funk. It's great. And then end it, which I wanted to end with like one of the best songs I've heard this year, which is Girls by The Dare, which is some of the best music to come out of New York. Sorry, I don't want to fuck up your coasters. But yeah, definitely like it's like early aughts club dance music, like Justice, but also like LCD sound system. And it's if you don't like this song, you don't like having fun.
Oh wow, that's a big statement.
I mean, obviously I'm being facetious, but like, yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one.
Nice.
So
well,
that's my song list for this week.
I'll definitely check those out.
Yeah.
And you all should too.
Yeah. All the links should be in the description of this, or they'll be on our link tree of our Instagram.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think that might be all that we have to talk about today.
Yep. That's all we have written down.
So yeah, in the future, you are going to be able to find us on Apple Podcasts, but right now we are on YouTube, Spotify, and Podbean. If you would like to give us a like or a rating on any of those platforms, that would greatly help us out, and we would appreciate it.
Yep, or comment on YouTube, or
sure.
if you want to talk about anything. I don't know if we never talked about it, but like maybe if somebody wants to send something to our email, there's always that possibility, which should be linked. But
our email's LastWeekThisWeekPod@gmail.
Yeah, but definitely like check us out. We're trying to get people to follow. So
yeah, we're having a good time over here. We recorded a lot today, and we appreciate you listening to all of it. If you're at the end of this bad boy. But,
appreciate it greatly.
Thank you for listening.
All right, until next time.
Bye.